3, 2, 1, and we are here. What is going on,
Rolling,
Jeffrey?
baby.
What's going on, man?
Oh, just chillaxing. It has been some busyness going on in life the last, well, forever, really, but last few weeks have been hectic, dude.
Yeah,
2025 is coming at you, horde.
bring it, bring that shit,
Ready for
man.
it.
Yeah, I can't imagine with all the actual physical work that you guys do outside, like you and Eric. I don't. Is Ben still? What is he doing?
No, he's in a cushy office job.
Yeah, what a guy. I'm kind of
Yeah,
in an
he's a
office
recruiter
job, but
now.
not really. Oh, he doesn't do anything. uh,
Nothing.
but yeah, no. With the actual outside work that you guys do and the physical toll that takes, I can't imagine. So
Awesome.
kudos to y'all for that stuff. But so what are
Yep.
we hitting on today? What do we want to dive into?
So let's see. I did a Tony Robbins seminar last week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
and it's kind of made me this like disgustingly positive person the last few days. And I'm late to the podcast because as we were eating dinner, I was like, my wife's been working. She worked like 30 hours the last 2 days, and so we haven't really seen each other the last few days.
Hmm.
And I haven't really been able to talk to her about this. So it's like I want to talk to you about this because it's like I think this is awesome stuff. So
Yeah.
as we were eating dinner, we watched like a little clip of the seminar that I did. So it's just even me, like I had this like idea. You hear like Tony Robbins, you're like, okay, that guy's some like motivational speaker. It's like how real is it? It kind of seems played up. Um, Man, if you haven't, then like it's legit, like for real. Um, like I felt it in my body, the because we can rationalize things as much as we want, but you can't just like think your way out of problems.
Hmm.
I think as men, a lot we try to detach ourselves from our emotions and even maybe like just throw them in the trash for a while or
Yeah.
forever. It's like I don't need those things. So it, I think that's our natural inclination is to separate logic from emotion.
Yeah.
But like that's not a human. That's like a robot, right? A robot is yes, I will complete the task and do it in a timely fashion. It's like, okay, that's great. Yeah, if I need like a table built, but if I'm trying to live with this person and trying to, you know, have a deep conversation or just try to figure out, hey, what's going on in here, man?
Yeah.
And all you're getting is this block of wood
Yeah.
that's maybe telling you like smart things or like logical things. Like, yeah, that makes sense to a degree, but that's not the whole picture.
Yeah.
So throughout the seminar, it touches on like business stuff, which is what I went into it for, just to help, grow the business, become a better entrepreneur. But it touched on relationship stuff too, not just like with your spouse or your significant other, but also just with everyday people.
Yeah.
And just seeing how connected emotion is, not just emotion, but a healthy emotion with success. And again, I'm probably going to harp on a lot of the same things. So suck it up. I was going to apologize, but I'm not doing that. Suck it up. Um, as men, it's like, no, I don't want to feel these emotions because that's going to hinder my performance, right? It's like I need to just be this cold killer who doesn't feel nothing. We're just going in, we're executing. And that sounds good in like a comic book, Batman.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, he gets stuff done, right? Kicks bad guys' booties. It's like how many women would want to date Batman? Like legitimately, if he had no money,
Yeah.
probably none, right? So it's and this has been like an ongoing thing for me personally, is just trying to recognize that I possess emotions. But this seminar has really just like skyrocketed that to a bigger degree, for me to just allow myself to feel things.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I've cried a ton the last few days. It was mostly like happy tears, but some of it was sad tears because throughout it they would like interview people, and some people have been through like just horrendous things.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm going to say that's commonplace in one form or another. Whether it's low income to where you're in poverty, that's a horrible thing to deal with. Abuse in one way or the other. Way too many people are affected by that,
Yeah.
or some sort of prejudice against you, for whatever reason, because somebody can hate you for whatever reason.
Hmm.
And it's easy to shut your emotions off and be like, I'm sick of feeling these things because it makes me feel bad, right? If bad things are happening, you can, I know that that's what I did personally. Whenever things got bad, I was like, okay, well, we're not going to feel now. We're just going to turn that part of our body off because it's hindering our performance, right? It's like, sure, I have like times where I feel good, but whenever I feel bad, it feels real bad and it
Yeah.
sucks. So let's just like take the emotion and we're just going to crank it down,
Yeah.
crank it down. We're just going to leave it there. Just going to leave it there for a while. And that might be beneficial in like a short-term sense. You might be able to accomplish whatever, task. It's like, I need to finish this thing at work, or like, let's say with like sports, I have this game that I need to do, or a lift that I need to make, or I've got this competition that I'm training for. You can see why that can be can be beneficial short time, because you go into that dark place. You're going to that cold-blooded killer where you're not feeling nothing. You're just doing the thing, right? I'm
Hmm.
sure you felt that way before, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I think you make a good point about like not just putting those feelings to the side, like allowing yourself to kind of sit and wallow in whatever it is, right? And I feel like a lot of times we associate feelings like anger and sadness and everything with the word bad, and then we
Mm-hmm.
associate like excitement and happiness with good. That's not necessarily true. I mean, it's kind of like a yin and yang thing. You can't have one without the other, right? Um, but I think the real role of positivity is to not deny the existence of a hardship or a quote unquote bad feeling or sadness or anger, but just controlling your response to it and allocating your response in a specific way, um, and being able to maintain that positive outlook, like telling yourself, we always talk about showing gratitude in times that are hard. Like it could be worse. At least I've got X, Y, Z. At least I got a roof over my head. At least the lights are on. The water's running. Stuff like that. I mean, just maintaining that positive outlook during adversity or quote unquote bad times can help strengthen your mental resilience and really help you hone your response outwardly towards everybody else. Because whether you like it or not, the way you react to something, it affects everybody around you, not just you, whether you like it or not. Um, and then in that same breath, when you start practicing that, that positivity, putting yourself in that mental state where you're applying those emotions elsewhere, obviously that can boost your own physical performance. Um, yeah, and so exactly that. Like, people talk about like, oh, I got to fight my demons and stuff in the gym. Like, yeah, it's kind of like cliche and stuff, but honestly, if you can take that emotion that you're feeling, whether it was a long day at work or relationships aren't going too well around you, or you you just whatever is going on, and you can apply. that effort there, put yourself through something hard, accomplish something, you can step back and say, okay, I felt what I needed to feel. Now I can action. Now I can build a plan because I'm not being clouded by, hatred or anger or sadness or things of that nature. Because they're very powerful emotions. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. That's yeah,
Yeah, definitely. What you were saying about negativity affecting other people, like I'm sure we've all seen a negative person like infect other people, whether that be intentional or not. It's like somebody's bummed out. It's like, oh, I'm not having a good day. I got a flat tire. Got cut off in traffic. My boss is mad at me. My wife is, you know, being mean to me. It's like, yeah, I don't want to hang out with that guy. That guy sucks. That guy sucks because he's gonna make me feel like, oh, well, yeah, I kind of feel like Jim over here too, and my life kind of sucks too. It's like that's awful.
yeah. I will
And
say it's really funny to see people kind of go at each other and say like, "Man, like you had that bad thing happen. Well, listen to this bad thing that was worse." And it's like a
yeah,
constant race to the bottom. Dude, I'll see that on like Facebook feeds and stuff like that. Man, you can get lost in that stuff. That's funny to watch. Not funny, but it's also funny because what the heck are you doing?
right. Yeah. Why
But
would you ever brag or like try? Not only that, but it can be funny to like, yeah, haha, this is crazy that this person had this thing happen, and then this person had, oh my goodness, this story's getting crazy and crazy. As a third party reading that, you can kind of find humor in that for sure.
yeah,
Excuse me. But like, if you look at it, like, what is that person who's trying to one up the other person doing? They're devaluing that other person's feelings. They're saying, what happened to you doesn't matter as much because this happened to me. And then another person comes in, well, this doesn't matter. What happened to you doesn't matter because look at what happened to me. And like you said, I'm going up, but like you said, it's a race
yeah,
to the bottom. I really like that expression because who would want to do that? Why would you ever want to race uh, even to the bottom? Why would you want to do that? We're trying to get to the top, people. We're trying to get to the top. So, but then you're also, treating these other people badly because you're like, this horrible thing that happened to you that probably affected you in a major way and negatively, that doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's like, oh, well, I thought it did, but thanks for telling me that because now I guess I'll just go stick my hand in the sand. You know,
yeah,
it's, I think, you know, uh, especially men, we have this competitive spirit. So it's like, we're going to take that to, whatever avenue that is,
yeah,
look at, I'm going to make sure that I'm the worst sufferer in the world. That's what I'm good at.
yeah,
And I really liked what you said about, you know, like fighting your demons. I think it's probably overused, but it's a good expression because, when you go into the gym and you do allow yourself to feel feelings and, hopefully use whatever bad or negative feelings you're feeling to, feel them and then release them into whatever that activity is. Your bench pressing, your squatting, your deadlifting, whatever, running, uh, rock climbing, crossfitting, whatever. But you're acknowledging those feelings. You're allowing yourself to feel them, and then you're just letting them go
yeah,
because that's all you have to do. It's whenever you're holding on to them, it's like, no, these are my feelings. I'm not going to feel them, but I'm going to keep them. I'm not letting
yeah,
anybody else have them. These are mine. I'm going to
yeah,
keep them. But it's like you're just like taking the thing that's coming into my head is like hot embers because bad feelings can feel like you're burning with anger or something like that, and you're just like, no, we're gonna pile all these embers up, we're gonna gather them, and we're gonna stuff them into my stomach
yeah,
because we're not gonna feel them, we're not gonna acknowledge them, we're just gonna bury them deep, deep in there, and that uh, is so I think that is a root cause of a lot of problems men face. I know me personally, not acknowledging emotions or not allowing myself to feel those negative emotions, like you were saying, uh, really put me in a really bad place.
Yeah,
You can try and shove them down, but eventually it's your safe is only so big, and you can only store so much before that thing's going to pop.
yeah,
And when it pops, who knows what's going to happen?
yeah. Yeah, and then like when we take this, we take all this, feeling the feelings and stuff, and going in the gym and applying, like the concept of voluntary hardship, uh, like going in the gym, beating the shit out of ourselves for an hour, hour and a half. These long distance runners, people that do these events that are, hours on end, of just monotonous activities, that voluntary hardship, one not only brings a feeling like of accomplishment, like, yeah, okay, I did the thing today, but also like it gives you that time to feel it, but then also physically act against it. Like the mind and body are not two separate things.
Mm-hmm.
They're not two separate entities. They influence each other in the way they feel. Like you can think yourself into a sickness. You can think yourself out of a sickness.
Definitely.
You can, and like learning to how to feel those feelings and how to apply that physically to the world around you, and harness that connection between the both of them. Oh my God, you can unlock your world, man. Like, for example, there was Justin Truitt today. I'm pretty sure that's one of Cameron Haynes'
Mm.
boys. Um, he broke a world record that he already owned today. I think it was at like 8,000 and some change. But he did 10,001 pull ups in 24 hours today. Um, and that to see the shape of his hands, like they were swollen like grapefruits. The skin was
Massive.
raw and ripped off and bleeding. And I've always heard him talk about in the past, and I've always heard Cameron Haynes talk about in the past on his Lift Run Shoot podcast that you can't handle one without the other. You can't just
Mm.
disassociate from everything and be successful at anything physical. You can't disassociate yourself with everything and be successful professionally at your business. You can't disassociate with everything and be successful in your relationships around you. Like you have to figure out how to feel what you're feeling, because it's hard. It really is. Like being angry is hard, and it's so physically taxing on the body. Like your stress levels up, your blood pressure's up, your heart rate is up. Like your body is working to be angry, your body's working to be sad, your body's working to do all of these things. And if you don't know how to work through that and decrease the physical effect that it has on your body, one, you're effectively going to shorten your lifespan, but two, you're just going to be wore out all the time, and then you're still not going to be any fun to hang out with, right? uh, like we go back to this concept of voluntary hardship. Like the brain can become desensitized almost to stress, anger, sadness, and stuff when you're working through it repeatedly. I don't really want to use the word desensitized, but for lack of a better term, desensitized, when it encounters that activity repeatedly over and over again in a controlled setting, when you're in control, when you're the one putting the weights on the bar, when you're the one that's placing the shoes up and going for the run, like whatever it may be, your brain learns how to handle these things. And it's, the next time you get angry, it's like, oh, man, that really wasn't as bad as last time. And the next time, oh, man, that really wasn't as bad. And then at some point, it really just doesn't affect you anymore. And you're able to build that positive outlook on the world around you. And you're like, oh, this guy cut me off in fucking traffic today. What a fucking hamburger or whatever, But like now this person cuts you off, and it's like, damn, maybe he's racing to the hospital and his wife's having a kid, congratulations,
Mm-hmm.
or damn, maybe he's just got a call that someone's not doing too well, thank God that I have my health. Thank God that my family has the help, so on and so forth. Like being able to put yourself in that mindset will shoot you off, and it'll have a positive change professionally in your personal relationships around you, physically, because you're not as freaking stressed out anymore. Like, yeah, 100%. I agree that all of that is one. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. I really like what you said about uh, in traffic. Like you can you can go through the exact same situation and you can have two completely different outlooks. Like you said, you can be like, "Fuck you! How dare you do that to me?" Or you can be like, "Gosh, I'm glad I'm not in that situation with dealing with a loved one being sick, or maybe you don't want to be dealing with taking a pregnant wife to the hospital." Um, what you're doing in either of those situations is you're making up a narrative. Neither of them, as far as you know, neither of them are true. Did that person cut you off intentionally to make you have a bad day? Did they cut you off intentionally? Maybe. They maybe did that. But did they do it because they said, I want this guy to have a bad day? No,
Probably
no,
not.
probably not. Every once in a while, sure, there's going to be some joker person who just wants to watch the world burn and does that. Sure. The majority of interactions you're going to have are not going to be that malicious. But on the other hand, is that person, do you know that that person is rushing to the hospital or, has something positive that they're going to? It's like, no, you don't know that. But whichever story you choose, it becomes real to you and it has a real reaction. You can really be angry because how dare this person do that to me?
Yeah.
Or you can really feel gratitude that you're not in a bad situation on the way to the hospital because someone you love is in pain. Same thing, two stories, two separate outcomes. One is I'm going to be pissed off the rest of the day. And the other one is, man, I feel so grateful that I have my health, that my family does, or if they don't, that they're not in this situation right now. So in essence, you're tricking yourself, whichever way you go. But are you going to trick yourself for the bad, or are you going to do it for the good?
I don't even
Because we
want to
have that
use the
choice.
word. I don't really want to use the word trick. I want to use the word train.
There you
You're
go. Yeah, that was a
training
bad word.
yourself. Yeah. Um, like when we listen to Andrew Huberman's, in his studies on neuroplasticity and how the human
Hmm.
brain is incredibly malleable to the world around it. It could be trained to perceive discomfort and challenge and everything as a good thing rather than as a bad thing or a threat to your physical being. Um, you can take those difficult situations that you have to deal with and reframe them as opportunities for yourself to grow, to be better, um, and being able to harness that power. I mean, that's insane. Like just being able to tell yourself, yeah, you need to move this wire, take this, unplug that from over here, and plug it in over here because this is what we're going to do from now on, right? Um, yeah, that anytime you can take a chance to do that, whether it's you know actually moving through the motions, you recognize something that you don't like, and you chose to look at it positively. You write down times that you can that you were able to make those choices and remember those times and say, yes, I did a good thing here. Let's take that and let's apply that to the next one, so on and so forth. But yeah, being able to train yourself to make those positive decisions, that's the biggest thing, because you train yourself to get bigger arms, you train yourself to squat heavier weights. Like what makes you think you can't train yourself to think a different way, you know?
Hmm.
So it's a game.
Yeah.
This life, man, it's a game, and it's who can get out of this place the happiest, the healthiest, the strongest, and have the most impact on the world around them, and leave a strong legacy for themselves and their bloodline and their family. Like that. That's what this game is, and being able to surround ourselves like with the men that we have here, and go at that game and have these conversations and talk about how we can hold each other accountable to those actions as well. Like that. That's what this life is all about. it's gonna make it better for everybody. So
Yeah, definitely. I love that illustration of life being a game. So you can either approach the game by, here's the controller. I'm going to give it to somebody else.
yep.
You're going to give that controller to the person that just cut you off and say, you know what? You can play my character for a little while. I'll let you control this character. The character's me, but I'm going to let you hold the reins. That's in essence what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're releasing control of your emotions to somebody else. Whenever what you should be doing is holding that controller tight and realizing, hey, I'm the one who's got this. I'm the one who's controlling my life, and I'm the one who's going to make these decisions. I'm not going to let other people do it. I'm not going to let other people take the controller. You remember when you were a kid and you're on the N64 and you're like, I'm playing GoldenEye right now. No, it's my turn. My turn. You don't have to do that in life. You can take control back from, whatever. I think often we're putting control of our lives into people who we have no idea who they are, whether that be uh, social media celebrities or people on TV, musicians, whatever. How many people are so invested in what other people are doing to, let's say, it's like, here, I love you so much. Here's the controller. Please, please make my life whatever you know, I want this person to control my life. Like that's not what this life is for. Like what you said, that's not what this life is. It's not, hey, I'm just gonna sit back and watch how somebody runs my life.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds frightening.
Yeah.
That sounds like nothing that I want.
Yeah.
I want to be the one that's holding the controller, that's making the decisions instead of allowing somebody else to do that for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And even taking like the external factor out of it, like we talk about interactions with other people making us upset. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's just us being us, me being me, that I'm upset with. Right. Um,
Hmm.
you know, another way to go about that is just take what you're feeling about you. Say, oh, I don't like the way I look, or man, I don't I don't like that I can't do X Y Z or whatever. Like allowing yourself that discomfort day to sit there
Mm.
with those feelings and do something hard. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be something in the gym. It could be something that's like you take a cold shower in the morning. Like everybody likes a hot shower in the morning. Take a cold one. That's not easy. It's not fun. If you do work out, have a longer workout, do more sets, do more reps. Professionally, you could do some, public speaking. You can, try to take the lead on a meeting that you have coming up or something like that. But those small challenges are also going to help you build that resilience to the way you react to those emotions because, nervousness is an emotion. It's not necessarily just anger and sadness. Like you could be nervous. You could be, standoffish. Like you could there's so many possibilities of the feelings that you could be feeling, and the only way that you can really start to understand yourself better is to put yourself in those bad situations, to control the environment yourself and work through it yourself. So like once a week, you know just pick a day to take a cold shower in the morning, or if you don't go to the gym once a week, pick a day where you go for a run or you go out in the garage and you do 100 200 squats or something like that, whatever. Do something physically or mentally challenging, right? So um, it's not necessarily always an external factor that is making us feel. Sometimes
Hmm.
it could be us, and that's it. And I feel like that's an even more difficult conversation to have with yourself as well. So it's helpful to have people like we have each other, Jeffrey, Eric, Ben, like all of us, like we can talk to each other and have these difficult conversations about ourselves. And and be able to work through that. So finding that pack, so to speak, that's going to hold you to that higher standard. That's going to help. Uh, but yeah, there's so much that can there's so much that can make you feel out there in this world. It's crazy. It's crazy, like the little things, like if I was at the range today and that strap would have broke off of that bag, I would have been so upset. But it's just like little things like that. It's like nobody did anything to you. It was just, a happenstance. Something happened, and like
Mm-hmm.
control your reaction to it. So
I love that. I wrote down got a window open with like notes that I'm taking, and I wrote discomfort day because I really like that. My dog is making weird noises. And I definitely believe, excuse me. I like the intentionality of, aside from, sorry, we're back. Aside from, I'm looking at it personally, because I do go to the gym regular, so I'm used to that discomfort. So, at times it might be necessary to add in something different because you can get used to, we're going to the gym today. That's just something that we're doing. So, is that a discomfort anymore? It might be uncomfortable at times. So it's like, especially if it's deadlift day, because I definitely don't want to do that. But it, in essence, it's still semi-comfortable because you're at least used to the ritual of, we're going into the gym. So, it might be necessary to, put yourself in a different, uncomfortable, do something uncomfortable that is different, taking a cold shower whenever you usually don't, or switching up, usually I take a cold shower in the morning, I'm going to do it at night, vice versa, whatever. But just, constantly, maybe not constantly, periodically changing up. Otherwise, if we're constantly getting the same stimulus, just like if you constantly only squatted 225, you're probably not going to make much progress. So you've got to, just like you got to, okay, we're squatting 240 this week. Next week we're going to do 250. And then, we're going to slowly get a little stronger. We're also going to get a little mentally stronger because we're going to get a little bit more comfortable. We're going to do something a little different than what we're used to. I love that. I think that's brilliant.
yeah, applying the concept of progressive overload to anything in your
Mm,
life. Yeah,
yeah. Do
one
it to
hundred
your
percent.
brain, brother. Do
Yep.
it to your brain.
Yeah, you can literally train anything with progressive overload. If I mean, if you can't squat what you want to squat, you run a program, you line out your training weeks for the next 12 to 16 weeks, and if you stick to some sort of progressive overload program, whether it's 5-3-1, basic crap, or something more tailored to your liking, you're almost guaranteed to make good progress if you're eating well and you're doing the work. But that's the biggest thing, is doing the work, right? And you can take that concept and you can apply it to, man, I've been really sad for a while. Uh, I'm going to sit with this for, man, I don't know, like 3 minutes this week. Cool.
Mm.
That wasn't so bad. Maybe I'll do it for 10 next week. Cool. Maybe next week I'll do it for a half hour. All right. Well, now I'm starting to see that people are starting to talk to me again. It's the weirdest thing. Like, everybody says, "Hey, you look like you're doing good." Cool. Maybe I'll do this again for, I don't know, maybe an hour next week. Oh wow! Like, people at work are starting to interact with me, and they're starting to ask for my input on things. So on and so forth. Like, it can all be trained. The concept is there, and the proof is there too, because the people that do this, it works. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Sorry, I'm got junk in my throat. Can you hear my dogs going absolutely bonkers?
not yet.
Okay, well that's good. I was afraid. Um, yeah, oh gosh, that's so good. Progressive overload for your brain. I really like that. Something I've been doing is I just want to be a nicer person. I don't feel like I'm not a nice person, but I want to be more nice. I want to I want to be an approachable person. Um, so it's been incredibly uncomfortable, and haven't I have enjoyed it, but it's been uncomfortable. I've been trying to interact with strangers. You know how hard that is, brother? You know how hard that is? At least for me, like typically, mm, I take that back. I am a social person. I wasn't a social person for most of my life. Um, so just, see a random person and just try to be nice to them. You don't have to be like, oh, hey, you want to come over for dinner? I'll cook you a meal. You don't have to go up, that far out. But just, I've been just trying to interact with strangers and try to leave them with a tad bit more positivity than whenever they didn't interact with me.
Mhm.
And it's the craziest thing because I have no idea if I have any benefit on that person. I would like to think I do, but I don't know that. But every single time, it has had a positive impact on me
Yeah.
just because I feel good that I did it. Today we shot a match. We did a shooting competition, and as we were leaving, I was at Thomas's car, and we were leaving to go to mine. And there was a guy loading up his stuff. I just said, "Hey, hope you had a great match. Hope you have a good rest of your Sunday." He's like, "Thanks, awesome," and that made me feel good. Did it make him feel good? I don't know. On my way home, I stopped to fill gas up at my car, and who pulls in next to me? 50 minutes later, that same person, that same exact person pulled in right next to me to fill up gas. Guess where he's from? Oklahoma.
Oh
He was
shit.
in for work and just happened to he's like, oh, I've got a weekend here. I'll find a match. Happened to be that one. Happened to somehow drive the exact same route to get to wherever he's staying and stop at the
So
exact same
many
gas
gas
station that I
stations
did.
in between you.
Stopped at the same one, and we had like a 10-minute conversation,
Yeah.
and just it was awesome. Just
Yeah.
that's what being a human is.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Hmm. That's actually kind of great because there's so many places that anyone could have went. You could have went. That he could have went, and there's so many variables at play. But you guys just roll up right next to each other. That's
Hmm.
actually kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
And what's weird is I went like a back way, like a way that I normally don't, because I needed gas. So I was like, I know there's a gas station over here, so whenever I go here, it's going to be perfect because I'm just going to be like right to my house. I never go that way. For some reason I did, and for some reason I was like, this is so weird. Life is so weird sometimes.
you thought you were done with that guy,
I did. I
but
certainly did. I certainly did.
so imagine if on the other hand you were just like, fuck that guy. If you imagine if
Yeah.
you were just like, his fucking, his door's open, it's in my way, I gotta wait for him to get out of the way. Like, imagine if you were
Yeah.
like that and you were just sitting there like tapping your foot and you had that effect and then you ran into him again.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's crazy to think about that kind of stuff, man. Like,
Yeah. Again, like we were talking earlier about like somebody cutting you off. It could have been like, hey, if I ever see this guy, I'm going to punch him in the face.
yeah.
or, or like, gosh, I'm so grateful that I'm, not in a bad situation. Could have been the same thing. Like you said, it could have been like, this freaking guy is taking way too long to load up his stuff, and I just want to get in my car and leave. And then I see him again. I was like, that was my chance. I
Yeah.
can get back at this guy and do something to ruin his day now because he did it
Yeah.
to me. It's a matter of perspective. You, I, I don't know why I've probably heard it this way before, but like train your mind to look at the world in a good way
Yeah.
because there are a plethora of reasons why it's not.
Yeah.
You're never going to have a difficult time finding bad things happening on this planet,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But there are so many good things going on. It might be a little harder to find them. You might have to work a little bit, But damn it, there are so many amazing people out there doing amazing things,
Yep.
and you could be one of them for the small
Yep.
price of
$49.99 a month, baby.
no, for 3 easy payments of $1,200.
Oh my gosh.
Ah, missed opportunity. We should probably get something like that worked out.
Oh man. Yeah, and
This
then
is how I.
like taking that and, you know, changing your outlook on your interactions with other people and your interactions with your emotions, but then your interactions with your performance as well, because then you have to deal with the aftermath of whatever you did. Right?
Mm,
It could have been good or bad. Like today, I thought I shot pretty well. Turns out I still fucking suck. So, but if you just shift that perspective, right? It's like, oh man, like do I really want to do this again? I shot a 221 or whatever the hell it was. And like, obviously I'm not making a headway. I've done 3 matches and it's like, you know, maybe I'm not cut out for this, but changing that perspective from like, I failed to holy shit, I learned a little bit more today. I learned a little bit more about, you know, what the hell, what was it called?
yeah,
Virginia,
Virginia count.
Virginia count shooting. I learned more about, how I prefer to draw my weapon. I learned more about how I prefer to draw my magazines. Like my reloads got better, and like,
Yeah.
but shifting that perspective and focusing on the positive things that you took out of it, like whatever it may be, you still have to deal with that as well. So it's just a constant training process for yourself, and you can't just like you said earlier, just disassociate with all of those things. You can't disassociate with your emotions, just like you can't disassociate with what you actually did. Um, so staying present and dealing not only with the mental stuff, but what you're doing outwardly as well.
Mm.
Because again, that has an effect on everything around you, intentional or not. So yeah, that's man, that's wild.
Hmm. Talking about performance and like how mental stuff affects performance. Um, Chris Williamson, his newest podcast, I forget who his guest was, but that's what they're talking about, like how much your mind can affect your body. And there was a study done on a rugby team, I'm pretty sure. And what they did is they took players, rugby players, and they had them watch like highlights of them not doing the right thing, like messing up a play, whatever. They're um, a compilation of their mistakes, basically. And they broke them into 2 groups. One group watched their mistakes with a coach, their coach, and the others watched with a stranger, complete stranger. So you're watching, man, I'm really messing up here. It's like bad, bad, bad. I'm just sucking. But the group that was with the coach, let's talk about them second. The people with the stranger that watched it with the stranger, their testosterone levels dropped and their cortisol levels went up.
Wow.
And then what they also did was they changed who that stranger was. Was it just a normal person? And that still happened. Testosterone went down, cortisol went up. Then they brought in like a massive dude, still a stranger, but now that's this giant presence who's sitting there watching you fail repeatedly. And that had an even greater effect. So test went way, way down, and cortisol went way, way up. Now, the other group who watched with the coach, because that person is familiar and because you associate improvement with that person, improvement and uh, I'm blanking on the other word I'm trying to find. But a coach is somebody you turn to for help. That's the person who's going to coach you. They're going to help you get better. Those players, their test actually went up and their cortisol went down.
Hmm.
So just a matter of who you're with can have such a huge impact because people that you're with are affecting you mentally, even if you don't know it. If you're, how many people just get nervous in an elevator if you're by yourself? If you're scared of elevators, you might. But, people who aren't afraid of elevators, like, okay, well, I can fart in here now and they can let that out before the business meeting. But if you get in there and there's one other person that you don't know, you're like, I don't know what to do with my hands now. What do I do? Do I put them in my pockets? Do I do
And now
this?
I'm
You're
sweating.
nervous. I'm sweating. I just want this person to get off this elevator. I need to get off here right now. Oh, I just remembered this isn't my floor. I'm getting back off the elevator. So, you know, like you were saying, like it's internally, we can really jack ourselves up or do the opposite. But other people can have that on us too. But then also, like we were saying with the gas station guy, we could have positive impacts on other people.
Yeah.
So we're not, I forget whose line it is, but no man is an island. Nobody exists in solitude.
Yeah.
Sure, we all do things by ourselves individually. Nobody lives completely by themselves, except for Kaczynski, that guy. Which, is he still alive? Or is he just in jail? Probably.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Probably all of the above. It's all the same.
Yeah. So, like, maybe to like bring it back to what we were first talking about, and as I think it affects men more so because we want to be these tough individuals. We want to be. I don't need nobody else. I got my damn self. I don't need nobody. It's like it's good to be self-reliant, but you can't exist solely by yourself. There
Yeah.
are 8 billion other people on this rock, and you can't avoid them forever.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And those negative interactions too, like they can also create this emotional baggage that makes it harder in the future as well for you to deal with those same emotions. Um,
Hmm.
so, I mean, you're effectively backtracking every time you let yourself respond in a negative way to, you know, whether it's an internal or external force. Um, but keeping it at that, keeping it at that positive outlook and saying, you know, I'm making a choice to, I guess, take the high road. I'm making a choice
Hmm.
um, to just be better. you know, I'm making that choice to say that I've learned how to deal with this. I'm making an actual effort to do that. And at the bottom line, like all of this is going to take effort. It's not just going to be like somebody's going to listen to this podcast and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it all makes sense now." Tool, like, yeah, I'm good. No,
Yeah,
it's going to take effort. It's not something that just happens overnight. It's going to be hard, like you said. Like you walked up to that guy and had that conversation, and you were like, "What the hell am I even doing?" This isn't
yeah,
me. But you made the choice to do that, and now look, you feel better for it now, and you feel like, wow, yeah, I could probably go out and do that again to maybe two other people next time.
easy, slow down.
But even if that didn't go well, like being able to say, okay, you know, I chose to put my positivity out there in the world around me, and maybe it didn't land the way I wanted it to. That's not a defeat because I'm still here standing. I still feel like I'm doing good in the world. I still feel like I have purpose, which at the end of the day, that's all a man wants is purpose in this world around
Hmm.
us. We want to make sure that we're providing for the people around us. We want to make sure that we're not necessarily providing just financially and physically, but we want to be there for the other men around us as well. Like having that pack around us, and we have that purpose to be able to build ourselves up, to build these kingdoms together, um, and and spread the wealth as far as possible. Um, but having that reduces that emotional baggage that you have on those negative interactions. And so, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I like that because, like you said, that what if that interaction didn't go good? Like, what if that guy like had a really bad day and like his gun exploded on him or something broke and he was pissed off? Totally possible that that could happen, and he could have said, "Hey, hope you had a good match." And he's like, "Fuck you, guy! How dare you?" And what would that have? I mean, that would have changed how I would have proceeded after that because I would have been like, "Oh, like sorry, I didn't know that that happened to you. I'm sorry. I hope your day gets better," something like that. But even if it was like he was just so hostile and just like shooting down any sort of positive that I'm trying to like put on him, that doesn't mean that what I did was a failure. Like, sure, I could have failed in my intent or in my goal of having a good conversation with this person. Like, okay, that didn't happen. But that doesn't mean that I was a failure for that. I still took the shot. I still tried. I would, I mean, how much harder is that to, put yourself out there and get rejected or get, beat up a little bit? That's, maybe even more of a teachable moment because it's like, okay, that happened to me and I'm still here. I'm still fine. That I would even say that that's like pushes you to be like, okay, you know what? Next time I need to, be a little bit more sincere, maybe, or maybe not approach him as suddenly and like scare him. So I don't know. I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but failure's not a bad thing. Failure is just as much of as a teacher as success is.
yeah, yeah. I like that, man. I like that a lot. Speaking of that, it is February. Um, Mental Health Awareness Month. We got a couple of things going on. I know. I don't know. Are we? I guess we're looking at releasing a new line for Mental Health Awareness Month coming up, and
Hmm.
uh, yeah. So we're looking at a few different designs for Ash and Elm. If you guys don't already know, it's a company that Jeffrey started. Uh, you can you've talked about that on Instagram. I don't know if you want to go into it more here on the podcast or if you've already talked about it. But there's providing good quality stuff to people out there to wear around, but then also providing that positive message as well through this clothing. So we've got that coming up. We're doing a fundraiser as well for Mission 22. Mission 22 is it's a veteran health and suicide awareness prevention. Um, they they do challenges all throughout the year, whether it's you know weightlifting, running, rowing, stuff like that. But it's to help bring awareness to the epidemic of veteran suicide out there, and inspiring the community around us to build that safe place for those veterans to open up. And so I'll be doing a challenge on the 20th. I'm going to be rowing 22,000 meters. Um, and we're doing a fundraiser along with that as well. So I've got an Instagram post out there. I'll be putting one on YouTube as well. Um, if you could donate, please do. If not, you can show your support by sharing, spreading the word with friends and family, stuff like that. But I feel like we always kind of come back to this conversation of mental health, and we hone on men's mental health specifically, just because we're men, but mental health for everybody. Um, and all of these lessons can be taken and applied to everywhere, uh,
Hmm.
no matter race, religion, color, sex, creed, sexual orientation, no matter what. Everybody's got a brain, and they need to figure out how to use it. So,
Hmm.
you know. Um,
Definitely.
but with Mental Health Awareness Month here, that's what we're looking at doing. I guess you got anything else?
Yeah, I just want to like piggyback on what you were just saying to impart something that I was recently made aware of in that specifically with veterans and mental health. I was talking to a buddy who is still in and talking about his interactions with mental health in the military. And he was at a point where he wanted, to speak to somebody, and he was told that whatever we might need to cut this out if this isn't. We'll talk about it. But if it's still in here, then you know that it's good stuff. Um, he was told that whatever he divulges to this therapist can be relayed to his commanding officers. And that he's like, well, then what's the point? He's like, if I'm trying to be vulnerable and speak about things that, I'm not suicidal at the moment. I'm not right now. I'm just got some stuff that I'm dealing with. But could those things maybe get me kicked out and, ruin this career that I've worked so hard for? It's like very possibly. I mean, that was today that I just learned that I mean, that may not be widespread, but, that was that specific instance. So, and he was saying that, excuse me, I might be getting this a little. I think he said that they're trying to like roll that back so that they're not saying like, we're not going to do that anymore. Come on and talk to somebody. And my first reaction was like, well, that's a trap. I was like, that's how I would feel if I was in that situation. I'd be like, okay, well, how do I know that you're not going to, whenever that's what you did for so long? How do I know that you're not going to then tell my commanding officer these problems that I'm dealing with? And then now I'm going to get kicked out. It's like, that is a tough place to be with these people who are under severe stress, who are doing, performing to the top of their abilities under immense stress. And then you're putting them in a situation where they're not, it's very difficult to be authentic and vulnerable and truthful whenever what you say might be held against you.
Yep.
Now, like I said, I think I'm getting it right as I'm talking about it. I'm pretty sure that they've rolled that back. But if that was me, that would be very difficult to be trusting of that because, like, okay, well, you did have this policy. Who's to say that you're not going to then maybe roll it back later on? And then what I've divulged is now public information, and now I'm screwed. So that's not that that's the sole issue, but that can make veterans and current service members weary to talk to somebody. If does that make sense? I don't know if you've
Yeah.
had any sort of similar situations. I might have should have brought that to you before I've gone on this long tirade.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, I guess when we talk about combat readiness as a whole, that's a very serious conversation. And that's a conversation that a lot of people have to be involved with, especially when it comes to military service, right? When you look at your very highly specific, high performing teams like SEALs, Ranger Battalion, and people like this, like these these groups of people, they normally rely heavily on each other, and they've built that brotherhood around themselves to where they can have those conversations with each other. But I completely agree that the mark has kind of been missed in just kind of normal army, normal navy, normal people that are just going in there and they're
Mm,
we've got engineer corps, we've got all these support roles, we've got pencil pushers out there, like we've got people that do all of the logistics to make sure that these high performing teams can be high performing, right? And so they're all high performing teams, but the highly specific combat roles are
right.
high performing in their respective roles. But um, yeah, I'd have to see like processes and procedures behind that, but there are. instances where if you are in network, quote unquote, and speaking with a an army mental health representative or an army therapist, if they think it can have an effect on your combat effectiveness, on you performing your role, sometimes that can be grounds to report that to your commanding officer or to your executive officer or whatever it may be. Um, I haven't seen those processes and procedures in a very long time, but that there are those conversations, and it's normally an open conversation where it should be if you have good leadership.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like that's the biggest failure when we talk about. I don't think the failure is necessarily that, oh, my therapist is going to go talk to my commanding officer. It's no, my commanding officer is a piece of shit, and
Mm,
he's going to do anything that he can to just get me kicked out.
mm,
He's not going to do anything to coach me to be better or to coach me to how to handle these feelings or anything like that. Like, they're just full of themselves. They have this position of power, and they're going to enact that power on anybody and everybody around them. You know, so it could definitely be a very difficult position to be in. And my recommendation to that: reach out to us, just like he reached out to you. Find somebody in your squad, platoon, in your company, battalion, somebody that you can confide with, that you trust, um, because those conversations, me personally, with my experience going through my military service, held more bearing than somebody that was assigned to be my therapist, if that makes sense. Because I was able to experience things with those people and have
mhm.
conversations about those things with people that understood exactly what I was going through. So that's my recommendation to that. I don't know necessarily what, you know, process, procedures, SOPs, protocols, whatever it may be, behind that are, but my experiences, those are very, um, instances like that would be very reserved to extreme circumstances of not being combat effective. So,
Yeah, and I should clarify that it was if he were to go to one of those in-network ones. So like he could go pay out of pocket for it and go to just your run-of-the-mill therapist. But again, that's a cost. You're looking at 100 to I've seen 400, 500 an hour to talk to somebody. The larger sides usually not the usual. Usually it's around 100 to 120 an hour. But that's still an expense.
yeah,
So, you know, I think just having that like in the back of your mind, that's like, oh, I don't, even if it's not something that's going to impede your combat readiness, how do you know that they're not going to, the what are they called? The insurance people. I want to say it's an arbiter, but it's not that at all. It's actuary. That they haven't, designed this perfect system to make sure that they don't spend too much money on healthcare. It's like, ooh, you actually said these two words together, and that is definitely going to impact your performance. So we're going to have to let you go. It's like, that's not what I meant at all, and that's not how I feel. But it's like, but that's what you said.
yeah,
So we have to take it at that. So, even though it may not be as serious to, warrant that, could something weird happen? It's like if that was me in that situation, that could definitely throw me for a loop and make me question reaching out to somebody.
yeah,
But I do like what you said about, it find somebody that you do trust that, you can, because even I do believe that at times professional help is necessary, but it may not be that. You may just need to get it off your chest to somebody, like you were saying, that understands where you're coming from and the situations you're in. That's never going to be a detriment to you. Will it solve the problem? Will it take you where you need to go? Maybe not, but it could be those first steps you need to get out of that dark place that you're in.
yeah,
So don't think that again. You're not an island. you're not on this planet by yourself. There are other people who care about you, who want you to stay here, who want you to continue being on this planet. So, you know, it's difficult, but be a little vulnerable, put yourself out there and allow other people to love you because they do. There's there's always somebody out there who loves you. You just
Yeah.
gotta let them.
And if you can't find a reason to do it for yourself, do it for the person that's coming right behind you that's going to walk into the same exact situation.
Mm, mm,
Pressure your non-commissioned officers to be better. Pressure your non-commissioned officers to listen to your concerns, to be there for you, and when there are issues, have them work through it with you. That's what they need to be doing as leaders. They have been put in
mm.
those roles as leaders for a reason, and that's because somebody recognized something within them whenever they submitted their packet to get promoted. So um, apply pressure. Apply pressure not only to yourself, but apply pressure to those that are above you. Challenge your leadership to be better every single day. Um, that's my recommendation to you. And if not for you, for the person coming right behind you that's going to walk right in your same footsteps. So,
I love that because you may not be able to stop it from happening to yourself. Often we're in bad situations and we're already there. We can get out of them, but if you could help somebody prevent somebody from getting into that same position that you're in, you've just saved a life.
yeah,
Sure, it can be uncomfortable, like you said, to reach out to your officers and say, hey, this is something that needs to be addressed. This is something I'm going through, and I can guarantee you other people are too. So we need to get to the bottom of this and do something to fix, whatever the problem is. I like that.
yeah. Challenges going everywhere, man. I love it. Everybody, let's just be better. Yeah,
Ooh,
let's be better for ourselves. Let's be better to the people around us.
yeah, I
So,
love it. Before we close out, we did have a giveaway for the month of January for the Ash and Elm stuff. So what it was I think it was our first two posts on our page. We just asked people to comment, tag somebody, and then follow the page. And we had so many people that commented, put them on a big wheel. We'll put it on our Instagram so you can see it. And we spun that joker and we landed on one, and it was Mr. Bryce Eckert. You're getting a free T-shirt. We will be reaching out to you for sizing and which one you want, and it will be delivered to your door shortly. So, congratulations.
yeah, boy. All right. Is that all she wrote? It's only an hour. So,
Short and sweet and to the point.
yeah, right. Man, these are always good. I love having these conversations with you and everybody else here, man.
Yep.
It's always a pleasure. If you guys haven't listened to the other 11 podcasts that we have, go listen to it. Or I'm going to drag you out to a USPSA match and I'm going to make you feel like a joke. So, because everybody out there is ridiculously good. So,
Yes. Yes. Surround yourself with people who are better than you because you have no other choice but to grow.
yeah.
That's definitely what we're doing.
On that note,
Growing, baby.
let's grow this week. Let's grow. Let's
Let's do
train
some
hard.
growing.
And let's not just be 6 foot tall in spirit. Let's be 6 foot tall at, I don't know, at some point in life. I don't know. Maybe I'll hit a growth spurt. But
I'm still waiting on mine too.
all right. Well, that's a wrap. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Toodaloo.
Peace.